at NSSF, and I was like, hey, I know it is safe, but I need to know that I'll be getting a lot more when it comes to dividends that accrue from interest, and also that I can be able to get a little bit of more other perks away from the fact that the interest will be coming on board. But that and a lot more issues is what we are going to be tackling here with the head of marketing at the financial behemoth, the National Social Security Fund. I always keep emphasizing that because the amount of money the NSSF holds is staggering. 17 plus a trillion Uganda shillings. But today we are going to speak about the fact that there is an ultimatum that has been thrown down for those employers who have not registered their employees to be able to save some money with NSSF. I don't know what's going to happen. Are you going to close? Does NSSF have the mandate to come after you if you do not ensure that some of your employees' money is remitted? Barbara Arimi, many thanks for joining us and welcome to Morning at NTV.
Thank you so much.
I've been a year here and I haven't hosted you.
Oh, so today
that's a damning indictment to National Social Security Fund. But I will put you on the spot on that.
Yes.
You've put companies and organizations on the spot about the fact that they should be able to remit the money for their employees. Many have been going about business normally without fear that anything could happen. Just bring us up to speed with this latest campaign.
Okay. Thank you so much. And first of all, your money is very, very safe.
Thank you.
It's very safe.
Yeah.
So, as you're aware, the President assented to the NSSF Amendment Act in January last year.
That's right.
And one of the key provisions within that act was actually expansion of social security coverage. So that we actually take care of those employers who are employing less than 5. The NSSF Act, the previous Act, CAP 222, had actually provided for employers employing more than 5.
That's right.
But now with the amendment, this has ushered in a new provision. Employers employing less than 5.
Less than 5.
And that came into force actually as soon as the Act was enacted in January. So between now and then, employers have not actually registered. And that is why we've now given them a 30-day ultimatum to come out and register their entities so that they can actually comply with the law. So far we've seen about 3,200 employers who are employing less than 5 registering during this period. But we know that URSB within their database have over 500,000 entities that are registered.
That is right.
Exactly. So now, even if that entity has one person, they should come and actually register for NSSF. Okay. They'll register their entity and register themselves.
Is there a collaboration, or do you intend to roll it out with other agencies, organizations? Because at the end of the day, I would, for example, see one employer who has 2 workers, and they're already grappling to break even, despite the fact that there are only 2 employees, and they're looking at being able to remit that money as yet again another cost to their already high costs of operations. And then evasion is the best option for them. How are you collaborating with the rest of the other players in the working or labor market to be able to, for those not to slip through?
Okay, that's a very good question. So, of course, we know that most of these entities belong to associations, and there are also regulatory organs that we are collaborating with. So, for starters, one, if you look at the associations,
that's right,
you'll find the lawyers have an association, human resource people have an association, the engineers have an association, the architects have an association,
the journalists will have
exactly, thank you. And most of these people actually register partnerships. You find the journalists will have a PR partnership, you know, the lawyers will have a law firm that is actually a partnership. You find the engineers have a partnership, and most of them have less than 5. The partners are usually maybe 2 or 3. So when we work with the regulatory organs and the associations, we are able to reach these people faster. Uganda Law Society, for example, ensures that before they issue you a license, you give an NSSF a clearance certificate. And initially the clearance was actually targeted at members who they know that they don't comply, so you get clearance.
That's right.
But now that is going to change. It will now have to be an NSSF registration certificate. Yeah, so we are working with actually these entities. We are working to enter into partnerships with all the associations, and like I said, entities like URSB, Uganda Registration Services Bureau, where the action actually takes place. We also have to actually be able to access that database. Casita, City Traders, all these are registered entities.
That's right.
So we've mapped out a whole spectrum of entities that we must partner with, register, so that at least they can be able to also pass on the message, and everyone complies at the end of the day. Okay,
there's the new campaign. Is it, how can I describe it, retrogressive? Does it look back at years that employers ought to have actually acted but didn't? For example, if somebody has worked for a company that was liquidated, and by the time it was liquidated, it hadn't remitted NSSF money for the employees, how does that roll back? Or it's a case of...
If so, the law actually is not in retrospect. The commencement date is when that law is passed.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the entities that from the time that the law has been passed, we are definitely expecting all those people to remit their contributions. So if an employer comes now and registers within this window, they will not be penalized. Because when you look at the NSSF Act, Section 14 and Section 44, there's, with an additional amendment again within the Amendment Act, it provides actually for penalties. Yeah?
And that brings us to that question. What are the penalties for employers who won't comply?
Yeah, so we penalize the organization, and we also penalize the individuals who have not complied. So for the organization, of course,
why the individual?
Because you're the one acting on behalf of the organization.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's start with the penalty there.
Okay. The CEO.
Exactly.
HR.
Finance.
Finance guys.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you actually don't remit your contribution for your members, you'll pay 10 million shillings.
Individually.
Yes. If you're found guilty, you'll be tried. You'll pay actually 10 million shillings. Or you'll be sentenced to 1 year in prison, or both, depending on what the magistrate decides.
Are you suggesting that there are scenarios where a company has a policy in place that remits NSSF money for employees, but a single official decides not to?
It is possible. It is possible. Because first of all, you could decide and tell the person that let's underdeclare your salary, you know, so that we remit less. Of course, that is also a crime. You could also decide to underdeclare and say, actually, I'm the only employee of this entity. You register yourself, you don't register the other people. Or you misrepresent them and say these are casual workers. They come in once in a month, you know. So that kind of misrepresentation, if established, actually attracts penalty. And that is why we are saying you could pay the fine, or you could face 1 year in jail, or both, depending on the gravity of what you have actually committed.
All right. Pension reform watchers out there are looking at this and saying, oh, here we go. The probe is working. The probe is working. They looked into it, looked into them, and now here we are. They're trying to improve.
Yes.
It could be a natural process. This is the latest of a series of interventions NSSF is rolling out.
Yes.
What is the connection with the probe?
Well, for the probe, the parliamentary probe, yes. Well, the thing with the parliamentary probe and this as well, the key thing is performance.
Performance.
If you look at that parliamentary report, there is a section where they actually acknowledged that the fund had performed and grown from 1.7 trillion to 17.3 trillion as at end of last year. And that is within a 12-year period.
That's right.
Which is over 1,000%. So that is a commonality. It means the fund actually is something, an entity that is resilient and that is growing and is delivering value to the member and also to the economy. I think that is one common thing. The other connection with the probe, of course, is that workers' money is actually safe. Why do I say so? Within that parliamentary report, you don't see any allegation saying we stole anything.
Ah, how interesting.
If you go back to the news stories, there was a 6 billion paid to the minister, 1.8 to board members, 40 billion Grain Council, 400 billion Nachigala land. But within this report, there is no indication whatsoever that this has actually been paid. And this has been the position of the fund. From the beginning, we have been saying this 6 billion has never been paid to the minister, 1.8 has never been paid to board members, 400 billion has not been used to purchase Nachigala land, and also 40 billion not given to the Grain Council. So at least that was cleared within the probe. So those are the two things, the connection with the probe.
Let's leave the probe where it exactly is, because right now it's on another table, and that will be worked on. Let's come back to the campaign and the beneficiaries, especially the beneficiaries. Those are the employees, the general public. They are members of the public who are saving voluntarily.
Yes.
Yeah, for example, somebody is a business person, and every month they're like, okay, let me put this to NSSF and the like. But within their shop arrangement, say Chikubo, they have some few people they employ.
Yeah.
2 or 3. No contract at all. How are you going to go for those ones?
Now, if that shop is a registered entity, if, let's say, for instance, they have a formal kind of registration, within any laws of Uganda, yeah, you've registered your entity and you're saying, okay, let's say this is Barbara and Sons, and it's registered.
That's right.
Then you're mandated to contribute.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's a sense of formality. You're registered, your business is operating formally. And these 2 people that you have in your shop are actually reporting there on a daily basis and working. And yesterday I was having a chat with one of my colleagues in office about the employment laws in Uganda, one of the lawyers.
There's a whole
and they told me actually that a contract can be a verbal. You know?
A verbal in Uganda?
Yes, an employment contract. It can be a verbal contract.
Verbal contracts in Uganda
but it's recognized.
They're recognized when you're being sacked.
And it's also recognized at the point when you're being given the job. So you might have that person in your shop and you're assuming there's no written contract. So there's no evidence that they are my employee.
It's a bit of a long shot.
It is actually recognized legally that this is your employee. And actually you should contribute for them. All right.
Time is not our best ally. I will allow you to use 120 broadcasting minutes, seconds rather, not minutes.
That's good.
To wrap this up,
I thought we were going to be here
be able to give us anything we could have missed with regard to the latest campaign.
Okay, thank you so much. I think for us the key thing there is really to appeal to all employers. Yeah. Whether it's really a partnership or a business that is registered under the Companies Act or any other existing laws within Uganda, if it's an association, or even these contract workers that we're talking about. You think you're outsourcing a function, maybe for your call center, and you're just getting these people to handle for you the call center process, or you are outsourcing the sales function to some entity. All those people actually are supposed to be remitted for NSSF. So we are speaking to all people in these categories. Even there are government entities that actually have projects within there, whereby these project workers actually are not remitting to the government pension fund. Those project workers are required actually to register with NSSF. So if anyone falls under that category, we are appealing to you. Please comply with the law within the next 30 days. Register your organization and register the employees. And we will not actually apply the penalty. But after that, when we come out to audit and we realize that you should have complied, then it is going to be actually much more costly for your entity.
All right. Barbara Arimi, Head of Marketing at the National Social Security Fund, many thanks for shedding light on the latest campaign at National Social Security Fund. And I hope that you, the viewer, especially the one who has some money with NSSF, that has emboldened your belief that your money is safe. And for those that have been saying, I don't know how to get my employer to ensure that I begin saving with NSSF, I think this is the time to say thank you.